Hi everyone, I'm back. So, welcome to, oh gosh, it's been a few weeks, I forget how to do this. Let me rethink this for a second. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Karen Knits podcast. My name is Karen, and I'm coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, where I live, where I work, where I knit, and get into all kinds of crafting shenanigans. It's been a minute, and I'm back. And I'm so happy to see you all again. It is later July. I've lost all concept of what day it is anywhere now. This is episode 265, I think. And I'm filming this off schedule. It is Monday the 21st, I think, of July. And I got home late on Saturday. And I didn't have a chance to film on Sunday, so I'm finally getting around to filming now. It's early afternoon on Monday. I'll tell you all these fun details later. But if you're a new viewer, welcome to this discombobulated mess. I'm not back into my normal rhythm yet, so hey, you've been warned. I'm happy to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you stay with me. Hope you come back and check out other videos that might be a little bit more sane than this one appears to be starting. Anyway, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back for another week to see what I've been up to catch up and see what I've been doing for the last couple weeks while I was out of town, out of the country, visiting with family. So thank you so much for hanging with me and coming back to see what I did, who I saw, all that fun stuff while I was away. So this will be a little bit different episode than what my normal podcasts are, although the last couple weeks have been quite different. I just filmed a few filler videos just so you had something, and my channel didn't just sit there and languish for over 2 weeks. Just drinking some Kool-Aid. I have no idea what flavor it is. It's kind of pink. I think hubby said it was watermelon strawberry something. It's not bad. It's cold, it's refreshing. I gotta get back into my normal rhythm. So as you saw in the thumbnail, I got a fair bit of knitting done while I was away. I finished 2 pair of socks, and I have a decent start on another pair of socks, and the yarn just escaped. Nope. Oh my god. And I've just been knocking down things and the socks have escaped. Oh boy. Where did the other one go? Why do I only see one sock? Oh boy. There it is. Anyway, I gotta pause this for a second because I gotta move the tripod to get the socks from under the tripod. I shall be right back. Ay, I tell ya. Okay. Let's see if we can get you back into position. That might be close to where we were. I don't know. Oops. Don't want to cut Olive off. I missed her. Anyway, I'm gonna... Oh dear. So while I was away, for those of you who are just joining into this, whatever this is today, I traveled to Manitoba, Canada for a little over 2 weeks to visit with family, and we left home on the 1st of July, and I flew out, left early in the morning on Wednesday the 2nd of July, and I got a ton of knitting on the planes. I flew from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to Chicago, then to Winnipeg, and I had something like a 5-hour layover in Chicago, so I did a lot of people watching and knitting. So I finished this pair of socks. I love them. Some people hate the pooling that happens with these kind of yarns. I kind of think it's fun. I enjoy it. It doesn't bother me one little smidge. But this is yarn I dyed myself, and I just did a solid all one skein of yarn because I had 100 grams of it, and I just did a solid 2 at a time toe up sort of shorty socks, but just instead of having the contrasting toe, heel, and cuff, I just started at the toe, kept on going. So I knit quite a bit of these. I think that most of the toe was done, the toe increasing was done before I got to the airport on the 2nd. And then I did a lot of the foot on the 2 flights and while I was wasting time at the airport. And then I finished up the rest of it once I got to my mom's place. So when I got into Winnipeg, my mom's sister and brother-in-law came and picked me up at the airport, and then we went back to my sister's place. And when the niece came home from work, the niece and her boyfriend, when they got home from work, we ordered in pizza, or I think they picked up pizza on their way home. I can't remember. I was so zombie tired by then. So we stayed at my sister's the one night, Mom and I, and then on Thursday afternoon we drove up to my mom's. It's about a 90-minute drive north of Winnipeg. So we went up, me and Mom went up to her place where I spent the majority of the rest of my time. But I got a good chunk of these knit on the plane. I think I got most of the foot done in my traveling. So that was one pair of finished socks while I was gone. And then I'm still plugging along with my Opal Advent calendar from 2023. I have the second last pair are almost at the, I think they're almost at the point now where, oh that's crooked. They're almost at the point now where I think I only have 3-4 rounds left to go, and it's time to start doing the gusset increasing. And then once that pair is done, then I only have 2 little balls of yarn left to go, and I will be finished with all of the socks. I will do a video after I have all 24 individual socks done, and I'll have like an Opal Advent sock parade thing where I'll just show you all of them. So this is the second pair of socks that I finished while I was in Manitoba. So again, the toes, heel, and cuffs are done in a solid opal. I don't have the ball band is over there. I don't know the color name, it's just a number, but it's a light gray, or it's one of the grays. So there's 24 different yarns in this advent calendar that I got. I got it 2023, and it's from Purple Circle Yarn Company, or Yarn Co. She's out of Canada, I think in the Toronto area. I might be making that part up, but I'm pretty sure she's out of Canada. And the advent included 24 little 20-gram skeins of opal yarn. And what I decided to do with those is I decided to make 24 individual socks with the contrast. They all have the exact same toes, heels, and cuff, and the rest of the socks are different. These ones are, none of them will match. They're all mismatched. That does not drive me crazy. I know it drives some of you crazy, and I apologize for that, but I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. These sort of go together because they're both kind of in the blue family. That's as close to matching as they're going to get. I still have the orange and white. I have those. The ends are all woven in. These I still have to weave in the rest of the ends. The cuff end is done, but the rest isn't. And what you'll see is that what I do is I will knit these until I run out of the main color, and then wherever I run out of the main color, I switch to the contrast color. So you can see that this one was a tiny bit smaller. I ran out a little bit sooner than I did on the second pair, or the second sock. So they're ever so slightly different in the legs as to the length of what the gray is on the cup, or leading up to the cup. So when I'm doing the legs, I will knit 25 rounds. After the heel turn and heel flap is done, I will knit 25 rounds, no matter how far that takes me. Some of them I've gone all the way up into the cuff before I've had to switch to gray. Most of them it changes somewhere along the leg, but so that every sock is going to be the same length, I do each of the legs are 25 rounds and then 15 rounds for the cuff in a 2x2 ribbing. So that pair are finished. I finished those at my sister's place on this is past Wednesday, so I guess that was the 16th. Yeah, because I flew out on the 18th, which is Friday. So that's another pair done. And then I got a decent amount of progress done on the next pair of 2 at a time toe-up sort of shorty socks. Mom picked these 2 colors. I had 4 colors that were balled up. I laid all the 4 out and had her pick. So it turns out it was day number 13 and 14. When I started this project, I started doing them in order. So I took 1 and 2, then 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and then I just got lazy and I just randomly grabbed 2. So it might have been fun to do them in sequence, but I lost I didn't do it. Such is life. So this is the current pair. And as I said, I think I'm only 2 or 3 rounds left to do before I start the gusset increasing, and then I'm ready to start doing the heel turn, heel flap, and go up the leg. So these shouldn't take too long more to do. But I started them at my sister's when we got back to her place on the Wednesday, and again, airplane knitting, airport knitting. It was the same return flight, Winnipeg, Chicago to Harrisburg. Hubby picked me up in Harrisburg. We just stayed at a hotel that night because my flight got in at like 11 at night. And then on the Saturday we came back home. Didn't actually get home until a little after 7 in the evening. Oh well. So that's my knitting, all socks. I haven't touched anything else. I've done a little bit on this almost last pair of mismatched socks. I have done a little bit on them last night. Worked on them some on Sunday, a little bit Saturday evening. And yeah. So my trip home was wonderful. I had a really nice time. Each of the 4 flights were nice, quiet, uneventful. No hassles, no problems. The only thing we had was the flight leaving Harrisburg to Chicago on the 2nd was about a half hour late leaving. And I had never seen this as a explanation for the reason why the flight was late. They said it had to be delayed by that amount of time because the flight crew had come in late the night before, and they were required by law to have X number of hours of rest time before they could go again. So I've never seen that actually in writing on the boards, saying that they required this this is a sufficient amount of rest time, which I'm grateful for that. I want my pilots and all of the staff working on the plane to be well rested. So that was interesting. The flights, as I said, the flights were uneventful. We had He and my sister, her husband, and my mom came pick me up at the airport. Left Harrisburg at 6. It was supposed to be 6:30 in the morning. It was 7 before we got going. And we got into Winnipeg about 3:30 in the afternoon. Went through customs and immigration coming back into Canada, or arriving in Canada. That was fine. A cousin of ours from Iceland was also coming out to visit, so he and his wife. He had stayed with our family and worked on our farm back when I was like 13 years old. He was 17 at the time. His father had come when he was young, and he worked for my grandfather on the farm, same farm. And two of the three of his sons both came and worked with us. One was only there for a couple months. The other one stayed for almost a year. I think he was there 11 months. So he had come back to visit, so we spent a fair bit of time with him. It was really nice. Like I said, I hadn't seen him since 2003 when my mom and I went to Iceland for vacation. Spent the time with them. Had a fantastic visit. It was really nice to visit with him. And I got a chance to catch up with a lot of family, a lot of friends. It was really nice. Really, really nice. I bumped into a friend of mine I have not seen since high school graduation. And I had to stop in. We were in a small town. My mom lives in a rural area. She's one small town. We were at another small town. Got together for lunch with some cousins. I broke my reading glasses, so I needed to get another pair. And well, they weren't broken badly, but you'd be very careful with them because the lens kept popping out, which is not helpful when you're trying to read something or knit. So went into the dollar store in this town, and I see this young boy, like 7-8-year-old, and I'm like, I think I know that kid. I think he's the grandson of this girl I used to go to high school with that I haven't seen since graduation. And so I went down to the next aisle, and sure enough, there she was with two of her granddaughters in front of her, and they're both like 7, 8. They're all in like this. I don't know how old they're getting now. 5 to 8 years old, in that range. And I called her name, and she's like, ah! She's like, out of the way, out of the way, out of the way. She's almost flinging the grandkids out of her way to come and get a hug. So we got to visit for a few minutes. It was so good to see her. Oh my gosh, it was so good to see her after so many years. So that was really, really cool. And to spend most of the time at my mom's place, and went out to the farm, went to the cemetery to see everyone that was there, because my cousin had, like I said, he hadn't been to Manitoba since 1985, so 40 years, so he wanted to go to the cemetery, see where my dad was buried, see a lot of the other people that were buried there that have been added to the cemetery in 40 years since he had been away, and he knew a lot of the people there. So that was, I don't want to say fun, but it was a nice visit there. And they left to go back to Iceland on the 12th, and I came back into the city. My sister came out to Mom's on the Tuesday. 3 of us got to visit all day Tuesday, part of Wednesday. Went back into Winnipeg with my sister on Wednesday afternoon, visit with her, went out for lunch with a couple friends on Thursday, and my brother-in-law and sister dropped me off at the airport on Friday morning. It was early. The flight, or the check-in desk wasn't even open when I got to the airport. So I got to go and have breakfast at Tim Hortons. And something that's never, ever, ever happened to me before in all the different traveling I've done. I went through, got checked in, got my boarding passes printed. So it's a bit tricky when I try to do, I cannot do online check-ins when I'm coming from Winnipeg back into the US. because they have to enter the information from my green card. They have to enter that manually. It can't be just scanned on whatever stuff they have for doing the self-check-in things. So you have to talk to an actual person. So I got checked in. She got my seats bumped up to the Economy Plus section as opposed to being at the very back of the airplane. And I went to go through security. No one, absolutely no one in line in front of me. I was the only person going through security at that time. And then I went through, once I got through security, I went to go through Customs and Immigration to come back into the US, because at the Winnipeg airport, you clear immigration when you come into Canada from the US into Winnipeg. You clear Customs and the Canadian Customs and Immigration when you arrive in Winnipeg. And then when you're leaving to go back to the US, you clear Customs and Immigration in Winnipeg. That is why I love that Harrisburg, Chicago, Winnipeg flight combination, because it's so much simpler to clear Customs and Immigration both directions. So I went to go through the Customs and Immigration line, nobody in line. So I just, by the time I went zigzagging through the little trail that they have set for you, there's two guys sitting there, and one of them waves me over. So I went and chatted with him for a bit, got cleared, and then I went through and sat and knit, and I was there like almost 2.5, 3 hours before my flight was ready to leave. But I've never gone through the security and Customs and Immigration with nobody ahead of me in line. I've never seen that before. Never. So that was kind of nice. Granted, when you go through the US Customs and Immigration, there's only 2 gates there. So you're in kind of like this separate section in the airport. So once you've gone through there, you're just in this little area where there's 2 gates, and you can see through the glass where everyone else is on the domestic flight section, which is much larger. So there had been quite a few other people, because the seating area was quite full. So there was one flight going into, leaving Winnipeg going to Minneapolis. So all of those people had gone through security and customs already, and then I was probably the first one going through for the Chicago flight that early. And then nice, quiet, uneventful flight home. Hubby picked me up. So on the Friday night, so my flight didn't get into Harrisburg till 11 o'clock at night, 10 to 11 at night. So we had just booked a room at the hotel right at the airport. Then that way I could just go there, go to sleep, get up, so we got up, had breakfast at the hotel has a breakfast there. So we did that, then we had our showers, got ready to go, and then we went to the Goodwill outlet, which there's one in Middletown where the airport is. Love shopping there. And so we went there for a bit, and then we were on our way home. We were going to stop at another, like a discount grocery kind of place. We were going to stop there, but hubby got a call from one of the guys from our church. They had tickets to, it's a small little theater not too far from us, that were showing a presentation of, it was an adaptation of the 39 Steps by Alfred Hitchcock, but it had a comedy bent to it. One of the descriptions I read was Alfred Hitchcock meets Monty Python, and that's a very accurate description. And so one of the gentlemen from our church had called my hubby when we were driving home, saying that, he said, I have 2 tickets for seeing this play, but they couldn't go. And so he said, can you guys get here on time to get the tickets to go and see a 2 o'clock, the 2 o'clock show? So we're like, yeah, because it was only 12 something. We could get to his place by 10 to 1 o'clock, and then still have an hour to get to the theater, which we didn't need anywhere near that much time to get to the theater. So long story short, too late. we went and saw this show, and the tickets were front row center. They were teasing, saying you can probably smell the breath of the actors from those seats, and that wasn't far from the truth. And the seats were amazing, and the play was so much fun. There were 4 actors, 3 men, 1 woman, and they played, between the 4 of them, they played over 80 parts. And most of those parts were 2 of the guys. The woman played, I think, 4 or 5 characters. The lead male played 2 characters. And then the other 2 guys played all the other characters. So if you've seen the show, the movie, The 39 Steps, the 39 version of it from Hitchcock, it was very true to the story, but they just stuck in so many comedy bits. It was amazing. It was so much fun. We absolutely loved it. It was so much fun. And yeah, so then we went, hubby had to go to the church still and get a few last minute things ready for church on Sunday morning. So we went there. One of the deacons was there getting some lawn work done at the church. So we ended up, after hubby got the stuff ready for Sunday morning, the 3 of us went out for supper. So by the time we got home, it was like 7 o'clock, 10 after 7. It was just like, oh boy. So needless to say, I did not get the filming done on Saturday. And then Sunday after church, I was still pretty pooped out from all the traveling. So I had a serious nap in the afternoon. Hoi, hoi, hoi. I was out like a light. I settle into that recliner in the living room on a Sunday afternoon, and I get this most solid, deep sleep ever on that recliner. Oh, fantastic. So I'm finally getting around to filming this. Now, all of us, like, this should have been just labeled as, this isn't really a knitting podcast, this is just like Adventures with Karen podcast today. Oh well, but I wanted to tell you guys all about this, all about all my travels and some of the highlights of it. So, missed you guys, missed talking to you guys. So, on that note, I think I'm gonna shut up. My voice is getting scratchy and my throat's like, what are you doing? So, I'm gonna get going. I'm going to get back to knitting on those socks. Hopefully I'll have those done this week. I'm also hoping to get back to working on the socks that knocked me out of Sock Madness this past spring. I want to get those done. I have a big long list of things that I need to get done this week. I've got 2 of them are off the list now. I've got one thing that took a couple hours, but anywho, that's done. Almost. There's one thing I have to do with that yet. And I wanted to get this filming done. I wanted to talk to you guys. I wanted to get that done, so I need to get that edited. Words. And I've got a few other things that I need to get done today as well. So I best get on to checking things off my to-do list. I only have 2 things crossed off there so far. Life's got to go back to normal now that I'm back from my vacation. So anyway, I think I said a couple minutes ago I was going to shut up. You guys know me by now. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for humoring me and listening to me rattle on and on and on about my travels. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you did. It really helps my little itty bitty channel. And it gets, if you comment, likes, all that good stuff, it helps the algorithm figure out that I exist. But anyway, I'm gonna let you go, and I will see you guys again this week. I should see you on Saturday. I should be back to my normal schedule then. Alrighty, take care everybody, and I will see you again very soon. Bye now.